Your life ain't worth shit. Dear friends, don't be upset. This article isn't as negative sounding as the title suggests. Let's be honest with one another. If you drop dead tomorrow, will the world spin off its axis? If 100 people are killed in a plane crash, 3,500 people are killed in a terrorist attack, if 1.5 million people die in a worldwide pandemic, if 20 million soldiers are killed in a war, if 75 million people die in said war, what does it actually matter? As mentioned, your life really isn't as valuable as you thought it was. Let's now think about colonies. A family of fleas making their homes on the back of a dog. Europe with Germanic tribes, Latin tribes and Eurasian tribes. The USA with its Scots and Irish, German, Italian and Scandinavian tribes. Let's think a little smaller about colonies of bacteria. Colonies of bacteria on the floor behind your loo. Colonies of bacteria living down the drain of your sink. And most importantly, colonies of bacteria in your stomach. When I think about colonies of bacteria in our bodies, and especially the fine balance that they strike with one another, you start to see the same sort of levels of detente that holds Europe together, or the many differing states of the USA. Bacteria find a common way to coexist. They're phenomenally successful. Our history is the history of the rise of bacteria. One scientist has suggested that because most bacteria tend to not be able to survive temperatures that are hotter than our blood temperature, they don't swamp us and wipe us out. They coexist on and inside us. After the extinction event that took out the dinosaurs, only the small mammals and reptiles were able to survive. But mammals thrived, whilst cold-blooded reptiles found their environment much more challenging, bacteria-wise. The bacteria bet on us to thrive, and thrive we did. Now we jump to 1970s Star Trek. A large tin tube filled with a colony of sailors, both human and beings from other planets, travelling around the solar system and beyond, and taking them with them massive colonies of bacteria in their guts and under their foreskins. Sorry, but we all know what a bad reputation sailors have. We battle against petrol cars and cows that are noisily farting our planet out of existence. In the meantime, you have become the vehicle for massive colonies of bacteria who are currently planning to jump planet, tucked under the foreskin of Elon Musk and in the gut of Richard Branson. They drive you to eat. They keep you healthy. They clean your system. Without these little fellas, we wouldn't survive a minute. But they've got a plan. It's several million years old, but it's going well. It's a long game to be sure, but they will win in the end. So back to the original thought. Do you still think that you're the centre of the world? Do you really think that your survival is that important? I hope you're beginning to get the idea that you're just a little drop in the ocean. Where did I get the idea I was so important? Well, clearly Mum and Dad. This is reinforced for us by school and religion and society. It's exceptionally strongly reinforced for us by advertising. You deserve the best. You're worth it. You're beautiful, clever, etc., etc. You get the idea. By the age of puberty, you're already being trained to become a master of the universe. Most of us were unfortunate enough to have a school friend die young or know of the same. We don't really remember or process the weaker or unluckier ones being picked off the back of the herd. You see it on nature shows. The lion crawls along on its belly. It's already identified the weakest buffalo. It rushes out of the cover and the whole herd panics and runs. Shortly, the target is losing ground on the rest of the herd. The lion Leaps, another statistic. But the herd goes on as if nothing has happened. So if you are just a bucket of bacteria being ridden up and down the planet like a tired old donkey on the beach, is that it? Well, it doesn't matter if you're splattered all over the window of a 68 bus, or if you live on to be 99 years old. Your life isn't really worth the shit, as previously stated. Well, that was the way it could be viewed until late in the closing stages of last century. The predominant thought systems had us as bags of bacteria or machines. Slowly emerging from the fog, however, was the idea of consciousness. And not consciousness as a white-bearded bloke whose whims tossed your life about and mysteriously ended people for no good reason. The consciousness that's growing slowly in the public consciousness is the force that creates this funny game we're all locked in. Consciousness seems to play a part in the formation of matter and the dissolution of said matter at a later date. Everything in our universe moves steadily from creation towards breaking down and returning back to its composite parts. It seems that our universe is made up of energy in various states of being or non-being, and that this is driven by the actions of consciousness through us. We are blessed as being the only beings with consciousness, or perhaps who can guide and utilize this consciousness to our own ends. I say blessed, this consciousness that time, bacteria, and the universe has sculpted in us can be a blessing or a weight on us. We can plan our futures and we can fret about our past. Some days it's a gift, some days a massive chore that we would be happy to do without. Religion was based on the ideas of cultivation of consciousness, but it ended up getting diverted. Greedy men took control of the process. The main thread was lost. All major religions have mystic roots that they've tried to ban. These roots are generally where the purest information lies, but it's still all a bit old hat. Sufism from Muslim roots, the Kabbalah from mystic Hebrew roots, and agnosticism from ancient Christian roots. These days, science and spirituality are blending. We start to see that science is confirming the part that we have always suspected our spiritual selves play in our experience of reality. There seem to be layers in everything. Like an onion, peel away one layer, there's another layer inside. Keep peeling, and intriguingly, as the final layer is removed, we find nothing. Such a great spiritual metaphor, and simultaneously such a great start to most recipes. Thank you, Mr. Onion, you are truly my master. Like the ancient Om symbol, which features 3 states of humankind, asleep, dreaming, and awake. The line and the dot represent the veil drawn between mankind and consciousness. We have the choice to move through these 3 places. Will you just spend your life asleep, walking through your sleep to the inevitable end? Will you grow to adulthood and wake up inside the dream world we live in? Adulthood being spiritually mature and not just over 21 and asleep like 98% of the world. Or will you make it to properly awake? This is often referred to as enlightenment. Interesting enough, several of my teachers have spoken about levels of enlightenment, so when you finally get there, it's just actually a waypoint on the journey and not a final destination. Ask yourself, what is the purpose of my life? No, really. Do it. Ask yourself deeply. Are you actually following your life's purpose? Look, it's fine if you've just decided to drink yourself into an oblivion and work yourself into an early grave. As stated before, it really doesn't matter. In a few generations, nobody will remember what choice you made. This really is a world of free will. Choose what you like. No pressure. I do have a hint for you. If the answer to your question, what is the purpose of my life, turns out to be bank manager, then you may have missed the point. There are ways to make the dream we live in better for all of us. And then there's the other path, which is generally making life better for me. It's selfish teenage mind against open adult mind. I started digging with Sri Ramana Maharishi's work, asking oneself, who am I? Believe you me, I have a long way to go. I've made it to adulthood. Wow, there are still huge pockets of teenage rubbish I have to clear away. But generally, I see the world much more clearly these days. I see that I'm a speck in time and space. I see that everything is beautiful consciousness. I see that there's no good and bad, just stuff. I watch my judgment jump in all too frequently. I see my petty patterns flash up like lights on a jumbo jet's dashboard. I hear myself say astonishing things and wonder, who said that? I have many lessons to learn, but I do see the illusion for what it really is. I am just a bag of bacteria, a mobile gene pool, but also a vehicle through which consciousness can play too. I see the illusion. I understand that none of this really matters. That being said, I have discovered my life's work. I always wanted to follow the Qigong path. I wanted to help other children find their way out of the maze, help them to heal their wounds and start on their own path. If I help one person, then it's been worth the struggle. The old joke goes, what's the difference between a religion and a cult? The punchline, just the number of people. Anything that guides your thoughts could be considered to be a religion or a cult. For me, Zheneng Qigong has been my guide, along with authors such as Jed McKenna, Sri Ramana Maharishi, and Michael T. Ness. Its founder, Dr. Pang, has published many books to help clarify this ancient way of thinking and combine it with modern science and spirituality. The interesting twist offered by Dr. Pang is that in his opinion, all humans have amazing hidden depths, and that, as we move from stroppy teen to adult awareness, these abilities reveal themselves. At the most basic level of this understanding, this might be how to heal your ailments no matter how dire they may be. Beyond that, we hear stories of people who can diagnose you just by looking at you, who can move objects with their minds, and many other stories that science just cannot explain. These stories get consigned to the wastebin of life because they're just too crazy. If you don't believe me, try researching levitating saints throughout history, or gurus who can stop their hearts beating for an entire week. These tricks are not the purpose. They're just the side effect of cultivating one's consciousness. As another side effect of taking this path beyond adulthood, would be saving our world. He's talking about a new race of humans who flow with nature, not against it, who respect one another and themselves. I mean, who knows what problems a race of conscious adults will encounter? I, for one, have put my hand up to try to find the next step. I want to be at the forefront of that evolution. Watch this space and maybe try to be the best adult you that you can be in the meantime. I'll write you when I get there. Much love, Jeremy.